so Jim's article kind of lit a spark in me, Michael, to further develop some of the themes that he had presented, that you have been blacklisted and that this was a collusion between two of the world's greatest superpowers. And it begs the question, why would they expend all of this energy, all of this skullduggery against a lowly radio talk show host as yourself?
Well, history seems to be lost on many in this day and age. Tell us a little about Zola, Emile Zola, and his piece, J'accuse.
The phrase J'accuse, for those in the audience that are of a literary bent, will bring to mind the Dreyfus Affair. What is the Dreyfus Affair? It was a scandal, really, a worldwide scandal in France that happened about 115 years ago regarding a young man named Captain Alfred Dreyfus. He was a French artillery soldier for the French army, and because of the prevailing anti-Semitism in late 19th century France, really all across Europe, he became a victim of that, and they trumped up some charges of treason upon him, even though he was a war hero and had an exemplary record above reproach. They fabricated these trumped-up charges of treason and gave him a kangaroo-type trial without really presenting any verifiable evidence to support the allegations, and shipped him off to Devil's Island, which, as most people have heard, is an infamous, terrible island that has since been shut down. That's in the just off the coast of French Guyana in South America. And Captain Alfred Dreyfus has spent about 4 years there just rotting away until the great writer and intellectual, the French and Jewish person, Emile Zola, took up the cause, and in a famous letter that he wrote in 1898 for the French newspaper L'Aurore, he entitled his defense of Captain Dreyfus, J'accuse, which is French for I accuse. And in this passionate display of defending his friend, Captain Dreyfus, point by point, like a lawyer, Emile Zola uses all of his literary and intellectual talents to basically draw an accusation against the French government and the French courts for railroading Dreyfus and giving him unjust treatment and sending him to Devil's Island without fair due process and adequate judicial representation.
How long was it until Captain Dreyfus was ultimately vindicated and freed from Devil's Island?
Initially, the charges were brought against him in late, I think it was November of 1894. The following year, like 2 months later, he was tried and shipped off to Devil's Island in around February of 1895. Zola's letter was published in January of 1898. The following year, he was given an official pardon, not an exoneration, mind you, in 1899 by the president. He didn't officially get exonerated in an annulment of all charges until 1906. So just to back up, from 1894 of his initial arrest to 1906, 12 years, Michael, this man had languished in the courts, and a large part of that time was spent in the infamous Devil's Island.
Why do you think my case and Dreyfus are similar?
As I was writing this article, like I said, it went in a totally different direction. I didn't know I was going to go back to this trial 100 years ago regarding Dreyfus. But I'm like you, Michael. A lot of times I'm up late at night. I can't sleep. I watch the History Channel, or books that I've read about history in college or in high school will come flooding my mind. And this case regarding the Dreyfus affair, although it's a historical kind of an anomaly, unless to somebody who studied French history. Otherwise, you really wouldn't know about this case. I thought it really fit very closely to your situation. Sure, you're not a soldier. Yes, you're not brought up on charges of treason, but there is some very intriguing parallels with your story and how you've been blacklisted by Britain, and now we hear Britain has colluded with America to blacklist your name. And what it is a story of humanity. It is a story where people who have tried to do the right thing and tried to always be a patriot and do that which will benefit humanity have their name defamed, have their name slandered, libeled, and really given an unjust treatment. And those around who could help are quiet, are silent. Just like it was 100 years ago with Captain Alfred Dreyfus. All he had on his side was the great writer and intellectual Emile Zola. Thank God for him. Without Emile Zola's letter, Jacques, he would probably have died in that hellish nightmare of a prison, Devil's Island. I'm doing whatever I can. I'm certainly no Emile Zola, Michael, but I'm doing whatever I can to try to trumpet your cause to England, to America, and to the world that this man has been unjustly slandered, libeled, and defamed by the British government for no logical reason, and this must stop. And I'm glad that you're drawing the line in the sand, Michael, and putting your vast resources at a tremendous sacrifice to you and your family to fight this treasonous act against your name.
Professor Washington, I want to thank you for defending me so eloquently in your writings and for being on the Savage Nation.
Michael, once again, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come before your intelligent listenership on the Savage Nation. I consider it an honor every time I get a chance to speak to you. I, like you, hope that we can end this terrible tragedy, this terrible defamation against your name. All Great Britain has to do is issue you a formal apology, and you have said repeatedly you will drop your lawsuit and you will get on with your life. Nobody needs this aggravation, and I know there's some detractors out there that think you're just trying to mine this situation for your own self-aggrandizement. Those people are idiots. They don't know you like I do, Michael. I know this is the last thing you want, the last thing you and your family need, and that you want to get this put behind you as soon as possible. And I just hope and I plead that Britain and American officials that are listening to this show will talk to the necessary powers that be to vindicate your name and to take your name off that list of infamy as soon as possible. Thank you, Michael Savage.
This is the Savage Nation.
Savage. Armstrong and Getty.
They're not bullies with a microphone.
Weekday morning, 6 to 10. Talk 910 KNEW.
From politics to religion today, because if you really want to make people angry, you may as well talk about religion and politics. Mom taught me never to talk about politics or religion, how wrong she was. And the fact of the matter is, you want to, attract people's attention, you got to talk about politics and religion.